Most people over 50 don't realize this, but financially, they're making one mistake that slowly destroys everything they've built. And the scary part? It doesn't feel like a mistake at all. Maybe you felt this. You saved money your whole life, tried to do the right things, and yet, something still feels off. Like no matter how much you save, it's never quite enough. I think about this stuff a lot, probably more than I should, honestly. Money, decisions, why some people feel secure and others don't, even with the same income. And what I've realized is this. There's a hidden pattern behind it all. A pattern that starts small, almost invisible, but by the time you hit 55, it's already done most of its damage. The truth is, most people aren't failing because they didn't save. They're failing because they saved for the wrong thing. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's what nobody tells you. When you're 30, 40, even 50, the advice is always the same. Save more, cut expenses, build that nest egg. And you do it. You sacrifice. You skip vacations. You drive the same car for 10 years. You watch your friends spend while you save. And then one day, you look at your bank account and you realize something terrifying. You have money, but you don't have freedom. You can't touch it without guilt. You can't spend it without fear, because deep down, you're convinced it's not enough. And here's the thing, it never will be. Because the real mistake isn't how much you saved, it's what you were taught to save for. You were told to save for retirement, for emergencies, for someday. But nobody told you to save for life. And this is exactly where most people start going wrong. They build a pile of money, but they lose the years that matter. So why does this happen? Why do smart, disciplined people spend decades doing the right thing, only to feel trapped? It comes down to one belief. A belief so deep, most people don't even know they have it. And it goes like this. Money now is dangerous. Money later is safe. Think about it. Every piece of advice you've ever heard, it's all about delay. Sacrifice now. Enjoy later. Wait until you're 65, 70, and then you'll be free. But here's what nobody talks about. By the time you get there, you're not the same person anymore. Your energy is different. Your health is different. The things you wanted to do at 55, you can't do at 75. And this is where things get dangerous. Because you start to realize you didn't save for retirement. You saved instead of living. And the worst part? You can't get those years back. Now here's where this gets even harder. When you're younger, you can tell yourself, I'll enjoy it later. But after 55, that later starts to feel real. You start doing the math. You think, okay, I have maybe 10, 15 good years left, maybe 20 if I'm lucky, and suddenly the question changes. It's not, how much do I need to save? It's, how much time do I have left, and am I actually going to use it? And that question, it hits different, because now you're not just worried about running out of money, you're worried about running out of time. And here's the brutal truth. Most people at this age are still living like they're 30, still delaying, still waiting for permission to enjoy what they built. And after 60, this gets even worse, because now you're watching friends get sick, watching people who did everything right, who saved every dollar, and never got to use it. And you start to wonder, is that going to be me? Let me tell you about Richard. Richard was 58 when I met him. Retired engineer, smart guy. Did everything by the book. He had over $800,000 saved, no debt, paid off house. On paper, he was set. But when I asked him, what do you want to do now? He just stared at me. He said, I don't know. I've been saving for so long, I don't even remember what I wanted anymore. And then he told me something I'll never forget. He said, my wife and I, we always talked about traveling, seeing Europe, going to Japan, but we kept saying, not yet. We need to save more. And then his wife got diagnosed. Cancer, stage 3. She beat it. She's okay now. But the trips? They never happened, because the window closed. And Richard realized he spent 30 years preparing for a life he never actually lived. That's the real cost, not the money, the moments. So here's the shift. This is the moment everything changes. What if the goal isn't to save as much as possible? What if the goal is to save enough and then live? Because here's what I've learned. Financial security isn't about having the biggest pile of money. It's about knowing exactly how much you need and having the courage to use the rest. Most people never figure out that number. They just keep saving forever. And that's not discipline. That's fear. Once you understand this, everything flips. You stop asking, can I afford this? And you start asking, is this worth my time? Because time, that's the one thing you can't save. You can't put it in a bank. You can't earn interest on it. You can't get it back. And after 55, every year you delay is a year you don't get back. So the question becomes, what are you waiting for? Okay, so what do you actually do with this? Let me give you a simple framework. Step 1, calculate your floor. This is the bare minimum you need to survive. Rent, food, health insurance, basics. For most people, it's lower than they think. Maybe $3,000 a month, maybe $4,000. Once you know that number, everything else is freedom money. Step 2, build your safety margin. Take that floor and multiply it by 24. That's 2 years of expenses. If you have that saved, you're safe. Period. Everything beyond that, it's not survival money, it's life money. Step 3, give yourself permission. This is the hardest part. Start with this. Pick one thing you've been delaying. One trip, one experience, one thing that matters, and do it. This year, not someday, not when I'm sure, now. Because if you wait until you're sure, you'll wait forever. Step 4, avoid the guilt trap. You're going to feel guilty. That's normal. You've spent decades training yourself to save, to delay, to sacrifice. But guilt isn't wisdom, it's just a habit, and habits can change. Step 5, reframe the question. Stop asking, can I afford this? Start asking, will I regret not doing this? Because regret, that's the real cost. So let me paint you 2 pictures. Picture 1, you keep doing what you're doing, you save, you wait, you tell yourself just a little more. You hit 65, then 70, then 75. And one day, you look at that bank account and you realize you won. You have more money than you'll ever spend. But the trips you wanted to take, your body can't handle them anymore. The hobbies you wanted to try, your hands don't work the same way. The time with your kids, your grandkids, they're busy now. They have their own lives, and you're left with a pile of money and a list of things you wish you'd done. Now picture 2, you figure out your number, you build your safety margin, and then you let go. You take the trip. You say yes to the experience, you stop waiting for permission, and yeah, maybe you spend a little more, maybe your account doesn't grow as fast, but you're living, you're present, you're free, you're actually using what you built, and when you hit 75, you're not sitting there wondering, what if? You're sitting there remembering. If you ignore this, nothing changes. You keep delaying, you keep waiting, and time keeps moving. But if you apply this, everything shifts. You stop living for someday, and you start living for today. At the end of the day, this isn't really about money, it's about peace, about feeling like you're in control again. Because the truth is, it's not too late. It never is. But the earlier you see this, the easier everything becomes. So ask yourself, what's one thing you've been putting off? One thing that matters? And what would it take to just do it? Because you've earned it, you've saved, you've sacrificed, you've done the hard part. Now it's time for the good part. And that part, it doesn't wait.